Wonderful people. I hope everybody's keeping well. Welcome back to the show. Right, welcome back to the show. I know I don't come on that often. I don't know. Look, it just gets a bit boring, and as you guys already know, I'm not quite the usual YouTuber type of a guy. Do you know what I mean? For me, it's always been like, if there's something to talk about, yeah, I'll talk about it. If there's not, then I won't. And recently, of course, there's a lot of stuff going on, especially with the geopolitical situation around the globe. All sorts of crazy stuff that's going on. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't have to reiterate this. I never thought of like like these kind of things impacting us in crypto, right? We were living in our own little bubble, and unfortunately other people have entered as well, so things do not look as well as it used to be. Let's just put it this way: geopolitics doesn't help us. And what I mean by that, guys, listen, understand carefully, right? So there's been a few comments earlier on today as well on Discord regarding USDC and whatnot and this and that. And the thing I try to talk about to a lot of people is you got to understand the global situation right now. The world is at war. The world is at war, right? There's a lot of unfairness going on. There's a lot of injustice going on. There's a lot of crap going on that shouldn't happen. There's a lot of political parties around the globe, a lot of states around the world, countries around the world are getting involved in situations that is absolutely unnecessary, okay, one form or another. And unfortunately, in our case, what's happened is crypto seems to be part of that game, right? And I've got some weird feelings about it. I've got some conspiracy theories about it. Of course, I'll talk about it if somebody wants me to. But the point is, I'm not here for that. I'm just looking at what the market's doing right now, and I'm looking at a few things. And one of the indicators that I have, and I've talked about this before as well, and I've definitely posted something on Discord about this. I can guarantee it's there. I said, guys, if the BTC shoots up to 500k or something like this, or 250k, whatever it does, keep an eye on the dollar. Because if the dollar is collapsing and BTC rises in value, then what do you really make? And yesterday, I actually sat down and I was looking at the pound to euro and pound to US dollars for some other reasons. I had my reasons anyway. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, hold on. Pound is as it is, it's still fine. But the euro and the dollar have a significant difference. And it's been crashing against the pound. I'm like, hold on, so pound's stronger. Okay, fine, let me go and have a look at crypto. So I go and look at crypto. And what do I see? I see basically BTC sitting at $117,000 or $18,000 at that time. Regardless, that doesn't matter. I'm not talking about how high it is, how low it is, none of that business. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, hold on, but pound is still sitting at 88, 90k. So what did crypto really do? You know what I mean? So we're seeing the value increase. We're seeing these coins pump, right? But did it really increase in value? Well, in my opinion, it didn't, because the dollar's just lost its value, right? Which is the whole thing, right? So of course, we've had, like, since 2020, they've been talking about it. In fact, earlier than that as well, they've been talking about the Great Reset. What the hell do they want to reset is the question, right? What the hell do they want to reset? So I've got a feeling money will be reset, because a lot of people around the world, again, geopolitics, right? Around the world are very concerned about how you have to kind of bend over to US dollar all the time for trade and this and that, whatever, right? Tariffs. I mean, Donald Trump and his tariffs. For God's sake, give up your tariffs, dude, right? What are you going to do if people start tariffing you? Do you know what I mean? And it's come to the point where basically other people are looking for alternatives. People are looking for alternatives, right? In fact, China's now been given the green light because of all the tariffs and all the BS that's been going on in US. So, I mean, for example, I'll give you this real hardcore example, right? So we live in UK. I'm from Great Britain, right? Yeah, in London, basically. But forget London, forget all of that. Just UK alone. You won't believe this, right? We have so many things in UK that are provided by US, right? Or US company or US backed companies. And we have to rely on USA. We don't have anything. So end of the day, if USA decides to put a tariff on us, we're fucked, because we need that goods, right? So we've come to a situation where, maybe we're not openly talking about it, but a lot of deals are being made with China, right? So when you start looking at all of these things, it's like, hold on, America, right? Make America great again. America could have been great. It could have always been great if America, right, just stayed out of other people's business and decided to just not, get involved in a lot of stuff. Because listen, you become a global superpower. You're a global superpower. You become a global superpower. Stay there, because people will fear you actually just saying, "I'm going to enter." But when you enter and we make a complete fool of yourself, you lose respect. You're not a superpower anymore. And that's what's happening right now. So all of this, make America great again, America first, this first, that first. Well, all you're doing is basically acting like a freaking fascist, right? And you're turning things around where basically now other countries are taking opportunities, right? And the dollar's collapsing, right? So I look at BTC going up. I'm like, is it really going up? Well, I don't think so. You know what I mean? And then when I start looking at how certain American goods are more expensive now, I'm thinking, well, what's going to happen? There's going to be an alternative. Like, for example, car insurance. There's a lot of car insurance companies now to get a good, cheap deal in London, right? Where we live, it's the highest, you pay the highest premiums for car insurance. We're actually getting better deals from French companies. French companies. So, hold on. I thought we left the euro, right? What the hell is going on, right? Hi, everybody. I see SM here. Also, my brother. Yes, Untalkable said hi. Yes, hi back to you too. So so for me, the way I looked at it's just hilarious, right? Because we left the euro, but it seems like now we're giving our business over to Europe. So if American business, like, of course we rely on them, right? We rely on Google, on the internet services. A lot of the phone companies are owned by, like the biggest phone companies are owned by. Untalkable says, can I get a shout out? Trying for 3 days now. You just got a shout out, bro. So shout out to you. How about that, right? But 3 days, I haven't been online. I haven't been online or alive for I don't know, God knows how long. So sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, good luck to you and shout out to you. Yeah, happy days. Salam Faisal, also my brother. Nice to see you. But yeah, I haven't done a live stream for a very long time anyway. But you're welcome here. Everybody's welcome here. And I only talk about crazy stuff. So if you're interested, as you can see, I've got freaking skull here, skull and bones and whatnot. 333, the Illuminati. I'm not part of them, but I'm not anti. I understand them very well. So anyway, let's talk about what I was talking about, right? So with the current situation with the geopolitics and everything, in London, we rely with a lot of stuff. We rely on the Punisher, exactly, my brother, the Punisher. We rely on a lot of stuff, right, from USA. I mean, most of the world does. But what if there are other alternatives? And the alternatives become cheaper, which is exactly what's happening, right? So as I said, with the car insurance, it's a lot cheaper to go to France, right? Or get a French company backed here. For example, all the London streets are being cleaned by a French company called Veolia or whatever. What's going on here? Don't we have British companies? Do you know what I mean? So these are the kind of situations that a lot of people have got themselves into because, of course, they made deals or whatnot, right? But now it's becoming more of a pain in the butt. So people are looking for exit strategies, right? And hence why the more people exit the dollar or the dollar trades, right, the more the dollar collapses. Now, of course, when the dollar collapses, what are they going to do? It's not going to just vanish completely. But believe me, it's not going to vanish. This is just going to be another form of it. Now, another form they have been trying for a very, very long time. Especially they've been talking about it, the CBDC and this and that. Now, as far as I remember, I think from 2015 or 20 something, I can't remember exactly when, the Global Economic Forum, they had an initiative where I think around 85 different countries went along and they used multiple networks, including Ethereum, including XRP, a few other networks as well. And they were trying to build stable coins on them, actual CBDC coins on them. They were testing them out. And of course, we've heard about the CBDC crazy stuff that they were trying to do with Russia, China and everybody, and because Russia entered, America decided to leave. But none of that matters because ultimately what they've realized is we already have stable coins. We already have stablecoin. Forget, I'm not even picking on one specific coin, right? We've had the longest one we had was USDT. I'm not even picking on USDC or any of them. I'm just saying we already have stablecoins. So why would CBDC have to go and reinvent the wheel when it's already there? All you got to do is just take over it, hijack it, right? And that's what's happening right now. There's a lot of government incentives for them, for them to basically just partner up and say, yeah, here you go, there you go. You know, we can use a global system, monetary system. For example, XRP is so bullish. I'm freaking so bullish because XRP is now going to be, well, they're trying to, not confirmed yet. So again, take this with a pinch of salt. They want to, they're going to be partnering up with Swift. Now, Swift is the biggest money remittance service, or whatever you want to call it. Like, you know, when you do bank transfers and this and that, that's what Swift provides for millions, thousands of businesses, right? Thousands of businesses. So when you have a situation like that, XRP is going to be powering the ledger for Swift. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Now, whether XRP makes money out of it or not, and whether we benefit from it or not, that's a whole different story, but I'm not even going there. But that makes it bullish because that's a good news. That means crypto is being used for a proper financial instrument. Of course, they've already been using it. I've mentioned this many times. XRP is two different products, XRP and Ripple, two different products, but none of that matters, right? I'm not even concerned about that, right? They own MoneyGram, for example, so they've already been using kind of that kind of a technology as well. So, but the point is look, we've got this situation here where more and more global elites, or the institutions, or the people out there, whatever you want to call them, right? They're figuring it out. They're like, hold on. We have a network, you know, crypto, the wild west, right? Pick a network, right? We have thousands of networks. Pick a network, use them for your own use. Now, it could be for money laundering, right? It could be for sending funds, you know, from one country to another, you know, right under your nose. No one needs to know about it. You know, it could be anything. It could be for good use, could be for aid. We don't know, you know, maybe some country needs aid. You know, we could use crypto for that. So there's so many doors that are there. Literally, you don't even have to knock on them, right? They're just there. They're just open networks, right? So the governments are jumping on board. Do you know what I mean? And when they do, right, of course, they're going to need a settlement layer, which means stablecoins. And if you take away the standard version of USD, right, or dollars, right, and you just use a stable coin, but now you have full access and whatnot and this and that, things change a lot. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm like, look, we're getting to the point. In fact, in the UK, we have a few rules and regulations that just have been changed by Keir Starmer. You know, executive orders or whatever you call it, similar to that, right? But they've been changed. For example, individuals and XYZ, whatever, there's some tax changes now. You have to do your online taxes and whatnot. Now they have full access to all of your banks already, right? So they haven't announced any digital currency, but they have full access to your bank. So they're going to be able to see every what kind of money you have. If you have more than a certain amount of money in your bank account, you've got to answer for it. That's happening already. We've already have the travel ban, right, or the travel rule or whatever. So, you know, when you're sending money and this and that, where is that money going to? Where did that money come from? That's already happening. So we are in a mega surveillance state right now, and you know, surveillance era, I'll just say, right? And AI, of course, helps them as well, a little bit as well. So it's nothing new, guys. For me, the way I'm looking at it, it's nothing new. This is just old technology just being announced. They've already been using this kind of stuff. So it's getting to the point where basically, you know, things are going to get a lot more tighter. So all I can advise to every brothers and sisters here, and this is not financial advice, none of that business, none of this life advice, nothing, right? I'm just going to say this, right? Just my opinion, right? Prepare for an alternative. Have an alternative, right? Because you're going to need it. Believe me, you're going to need it, right? For me, the way I'm looking at it is, if the governments and everybody start taking over crypto, then there's going to be a lot of backdoors that they're going to have access to. We won't see any of that. And we might even get to a point where basically bank accounts could be frozen, your funds could be taken away, seized or whatever, right? Because they have full control. So if that gets to a situation, have something that they can't really control. Legally, they can't take from you, right? That's what you want. Of course, like for example, property, land, and this, no, nobody can take it off you. If you own it, nobody can take it. I'm not promoting anything here, right? But if you own it, no one can take it off you, right? You know, unless you're locked away forever, or unless you pass away and then there's no one to inherit your property, then yeah, do you know what I mean? So there are options out there. Have a look. I'm not going to tell you what they are. That's not my job. I'm not here for that. But have an alternative ready, because it's getting to the point where investment, like anybody, Tom, Dick and Harry, to invest. That's what crypto allowed us, right? Crypto allowed people from all walks of their life to enter with very little money and make a lot of money over a very long time. and people have had a massive wealth transfer because of that. But now they're getting to the point where they're like, well, you've made the money, but guess what? We have the button. So when we decide to take it off you, we take it off you. Do you know what I mean? We decide how much money you should hold. We decide what you should have. You know what I mean? So we're getting to that stage, and I just fear for that. And I think it's a lot closer than we think. It's a lot closer than we think. So just be cautious. That's all I'm saying, guys. I know I probably didn't make any sense. If I haven't, I haven't. But it is what it is. You know what I mean? I just hope things make sense, right? I just hope things make sense, guys. So if there is any questions, guys, please let me know. From my point of view, I'll tell you about the crypto anyway. I'll tell you what the market's doing right now. So the current market's sitting at 3.79 $3.8 trillion according to TradingView. I know a lot of people have other data, and that's what it's showing. This is a good number, by the way. It's a good milestone. I don't have an issue with that, and I think we can push forward towards the 4 trillion, if not even further to the $5 trillion. Things could change very fast. Now, when we start looking at some of the coins, we have noticed how some of the coins have reached certain milestones. For example, Ethereum, the first milestone was 3,100, I believe it was. Second milestone was 3,500, and currently we beat that. XRP was $3.50, and we've hit that, and we've got slight rejection, but nothing too big, nothing too thing. In fact, XRP still giving a massive sign that it wants to push forward. So I think XRP could head to a higher number very soon, right? I had someone else earlier on ask me a question. I think it was KR. He asked me a question. He said, what was it? Which coin was it? Sui. Would Sui have could Sui overtake or outperform Ethereum? Currently, technically, yes. By percentage wise, yes. If Sui just jumps from where it is today to $100, imagine the thousands of like hundreds of percent of gains it does, right? Yes, it outperforms it. But what you also got to remember, what I said on Discord as well, is guys, at one stage back in 2017, right, Ethereum was sitting at that same price, right? I see KI here, also my brother. Ethereum was sitting at that same price. In fact, BTC was sitting at that price at once upon a time. So you got to understand this, that over time things will survive. Things will change, and some of these coins will become larger and, you know, in value and whatnot, right? So the way I look at it is just focus on the coins that you think will perform. The market is oversaturated with the number of coins we have. So there are some coins that we will just have a bit of fun with, nothing more. There are some coins we will buy based on the narrative. There are some coins that we will actually hold for a year, 2 years. We will definitely hold those. And then there are some coins that will pump, you know, look great. Everything's great about them, but they just won't survive. Give you a very good example. There was one very coin that I was so bullish on, Cardano. I haven't spoken about it for almost a year now. Why? I hold some, but why? I just don't see anything happening. They're too late. You know, you bring a product, you make a promise, great. And you've proven yourself that you can actually deliver those promises, great. But then what? What happened, right? Well, by that time, other coins like Sui, Solana, and XYZ come out, and they just rinse the market. They just out there every day marketing, doing whatever they need to do, new updates and this and that, and they've gone beyond you. Do you see what I mean? So Cardano was a coin that I was looking at. Here's another one, Polkadot. I mean, these are created by some of the greatest minds, right? So another one that is very disappointing because it hasn't done anything. It dumped and it just never recovered. Do you see what I mean? So some of these coins will not survive. That's the key word here. They will not survive. So at the end of this bull run, when we do finally eventually have a blow off top, we don't know. It could be 2 weeks time, it could be 6 weeks time, it could be 6 months time. We don't know. I have mentioned one thing to Faisal. He's here. I have mentioned to him one thing the other day as well, that every cycle has been longer than the previous one, and this is technically the longest one according to me, even though we haven't actually beaten the previous one, right? So according to the number of days we've had on the previous bull run, we haven't beat that, but I believe we will beat that, and this will be the longest one. Also, this particular bull run has had so many new things involved, like politics and this and that, a lot of regulations and this and that. We haven't had any of those things. So these are all new things that we need to factor. right? And I believe that we are going to see new numbers because, of course, as I said, people are probably using the money to do money laundering, BTC, crypto. I mean, if you want to stay in the dark and you want to send your support, your love, whatever it is, or anything nefarious, you're going to use crypto. You know what I mean? And it's got to the point. This is another thing a lot of people got to understand. BTC is not only being traded on exchanges anymore. Do you understand what I mean? BTC is not only being traded in exchanges anymore. They're trading paper BTC as well. So please understand this, that when we start looking at crypto, us boys, right, crypto fanatics, right, we look at crypto, we look at the networks and all of this, and we're trying to see, all right, who's sending money where, what's going on here. Those are the old days. People can make massive amounts of transfer in paper money, stocks and shares and this and that. No one's even going to know about it. If I send you 1 million of my shares, right, or whatever shares I have, I'll send you 1 million of these shares to your account. Who's going to know about it? Who's going to be wise about it? No one. Do you see what I mean? So there are means and methods people are going to be using, or people are already using, right? And once I kind of looked into it and I started pondering about it, I started having a few doubts about the entire crypto and this and that. Now, of course, I've mentioned to you guys openly as well. I said, look, guys, it's been a while now. I've just been kind of taking it easy, got myself involved in other stuff, and I'm trying to do something different and see where it goes, where it leads. You know what I mean? So far, it is what it is, and I'm doing my own thing, and I'm happy. I'm happy. I've done, one thing I've noticed is I can't have a loss. You see what I mean? So what I'm doing now, I can't really have a loss. I can't even be 10% down. I can only go up. So hence why I'm just like, you know what? It works for me. So far, it's been working for me. Yes, it's hard work. But it works. Mr. Mina says, can't have a loss. Yeah, I'm not having a loss because I'm doing something different. I'm not actually... so this season, I've been in the season from when we were at the low, like $15,500, $16,000, but I didn't buy that price. For me, the lowest entry was around $17,000. So for me, my season started around that price. I know a few brothers on the group on Discord as well who have bought it around the $15,500 level. They've got lucky, $16,000, they bought it as well. But my last entry was around $17,000 and I never bought any. Solana, my entry was around $10 or $12. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was around that figure. So Solana done very well for me, and a few other coins as well done very well for me, right? I just can't remember off the top of my head. Ethereum was one of them as well. I think it was about $600 or $700 or $800. I can't remember. So it's done very well, like percentage wise. But when we went to $100 and something, I think it was $110,000 or $111,000. No, I'm not, man. I don't do that. Listen, I announce everything. All my numbers are always announced. I tell people, look, guys, I'm going to go long when that price happens. In fact, recently I did a long completely while I was asleep. Right? Why? Because I already have a plan. I tell everybody, I say, look, you have to have discipline, you have to have a strategy, and you have to have risk management. If you have all three of them aligned, right, that's when you open a trade and you know what you're doing. So for me, I told everyone I'm going to exit around $98,000, $106,000. When we went there, I said around $98,000 I'm going to exit. So I did exit, but I had a lot of USDT. So, or USDC, both of them, right? So for me, I then said, look, it doesn't matter what price it is, I can now start trading. So instead of me buying and holding, which I was doing before, right? So I bought and I held, right? And I was doing 1 or 2 trades here and there. Then I went into full trade mode. So I've been doing trading, hence why for me, it's just been super, super good. But the reason I wanted to do that is because it's more automated. I don't have to panic about what my coins are going to do, or if the market goes down. I don't care. I got a stop loss. Do you know what I mean? So I wanted the easiest route for me to manage my money, the risk management, right? So I have my discipline, right? I have my trades open at a specific time, at a specific price that I want. So I choose. I'm in full control, right? I know what my stop loss is going to be. You know what I mean? So I have a strategy, I have discipline, I have risk management. I'm set. I can now sit back, relax, talk to you right now while a trade somewhere's happening, probably open, probably closed. In fact, it's still open, so it hasn't closed yet, because I did say around 115 close, right? So if it drops to about 115, close. So you see what I mean? I have this automated strategy going on. I don't have to worry about anything. That's what I've done. But I've focused my energy into something else. And when I say I'm only going up in that because I've actually entered the property market. So I've talked about it with a few brothers as well, on a few other videos as well. And now I'm only doing properties. So I've said to everybody, this guy, start doing properties. I'm not promoting anything here. I'm not here to shill anything. But what I realized was, look, I've been focusing a lot on crypto, right? And we have ups and downs and all these pain and this and that. But I've never thought about actually leaving. Well, I have thought about it in the past, and I have quite a few things set up already. But in the last 5 years, I really haven't really focused. It's just been complete mindfuck with all the stuff, excuse my language, but I've had a lot of stuff going on. And a lot of the time I spoke about it on YouTube, a lot of the time I talked about it on Discord and with friends as well. A regular land baron. Is that you, right? But no, so I have a few bits and bobs right here and there. But recently I started focusing. I said, you know what, it doesn't matter if I buy a property, if I rent a property, right? Whatever it is, I need to start looking into property because there's a few mistakes I've made, right, in my time. So for example, a friend of mine and myself, we started together, right? Property business. We originally started together years ago. I'm talking like 20, 25 years ago, right? We started property business together. And he's well established, multi-millionaire, you know, plenty of properties around London. I mean, let's put it this way, the cheapest property he owns is like £2 million, right? So actually no, it's not two, it's £3 million. The cheapest one is £3 million. But the point is that's how far he's moved. Now we were doing it together, we did a whole bunch of stuff together, but I focused a lot more on investments because I got lazy because I had a few bits and bobs and they were doing all right for me. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go all in crypto. So I went heavy in crypto and I paid the price for going heavy in crypto, right? You know, and that's another story. But now I've decided, like 20 years later, I was like, you know what? I've got to do this because it's not late. That's the beautiful thing. It's not too late. I can still do it, you know, but if I put my mind down, I can still do it. So that's what I'm doing right now. You know, I'm renting or buying, one or the other, with a group of people and renovating them myself. So in fact, if you look at my hand, you might still see, look, I just finished a little little renovation basically, so a conversion. So this is a new property that has been acquired with a bunch of people, and yeah, just renovating it on a Saturday, Sunday, you know what I mean, right? You know, I've renovated it, I'm doing my stuff. Actually, today's Saturday, tomorrow's Sunday, so I'm not going to be here tomorrow, but I've renovated it. Well, a few more days left, and once that's done, goes out, it makes money, right? And what I've noticed is it makes me residual income. So whatever investment I make in the beginning, yeah, it's going to take 2-3 months, maybe 4-5 months, maybe 6 months, right, for that payment to come back. After that, I've just got my initial back, and then it just pays forever. Do you know what I mean? It pays forever for the next 5 years, 6 years, whatever the contract is. So this particular one's 5 years. So 5-year contract. So hold on, I get 4.5 years return on something I've only invested a very small amount of money, which actually, because I'm doing the renovation, I actually get paid for the renovation. So, so you know what I mean? It's a win-win, right? So that's what I've been doing right now, and this is what I've been focusing on. He says your property is a convert. When I say convert, so basically, say for example, you take a house or something and then you convert the house into flats. So that's what I mean by a convert. So conversions, right? So yeah, it could be one property and then you make multiple properties out of it, and then you have multiple rental stream, if that makes sense. But anyway, we're not here to talk about property. So guys, I hope what I said was made sense, right? Especially how I'm looking at the market and how I'm looking at the US dollars, because I'm very concerned about US dollars. I'm concerned about the global geopolitics going on at the moment. It's just ridiculous. Every country's leader is just like a freaking barking dog barking at each other. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Just calm down. Look at your own home. Look at your own doorstep. Your own country needs you. Your own country needs you. You know what I mean? It's like people in this country are suffering with the cost of living and this and that. Okay, some people are doing okay. Some people are working hard, whatever, right? But It's not easy, you know, when you have to rely on other people. There should be incentives, there should be money being invested in the United Kingdom to support the people of the United Kingdom, right? To basically, you know, build, establish businesses, self-reliance, right? You know what I mean? Those are the things we should be investing in, not global geopolitical BS, right? America should be doing the same thing. China should be doing the same, whatever, right? You know, any country out there, they should be investing in their own thing. But right now, people are investing more money, global geopolitics are investing more money in military. The military industrial complex. That name. I think it was Eisenhower who said that, or somebody. He said, beware of the military industrial complex. And believe me, that's where most of the money goes. It's like, you wonder why. Well, I'll tell you what, he also said this as well. He said, if war is profitable, then you would always have war. And that seems to be the case. And that seems to be where all the money's going. So, it is what it is. Palantir, I like. Like Ike. What? David Icke. I like David Icke. Anyway, I'm not sure what you're talking about, brother. Or brother or sister. Oh, actually, brother, yeah. So, if you care to explain, that would be nice. Dwight. Okay, I don't know, Mr. Mina. I don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, guys, if anybody else wants to talk about anything else, let me know. Not an issue. I'll talk a little bit more. If not, then I'm not going to make this any longer. But just want to say, right? Oh, Eisenhower, it was his campaign slogan. I like Ike. Okay, right, okay, right. But I'm talking about when, I think it was when he exited the office, and his exit speech was something like, beware of the military industrial complex, right? And if war becomes profitable, then of course there's always going to be war. And that's what I'm looking at, and I'm like, war is profitable, right? Our governments, our country, right? I mean, I'm on a road in the heart of London, right? Camden, the heart of London, right? And the roads are falling apart. The roads are falling apart. Our government can't afford to fix the roads. Do you know what I mean? They can't afford to fix the roads, right? When you look at that, you're like, what's really going on with you? You charge enough taxes, right? We got 3 or 4 different type of taxes here, like bands of tax, depending how much you earn, right? So you're collecting enough money. You've got enough money to fund wars and your military complex. What about the people? That's what I'm saying, guys. Look, we can have peace if our countries, right, around the globe, decide to actually invest in their own selves, not into other bullshit. So what can we do? It's like that in the state. One reason I bought the lifted 4x4. 4x4s are always good, man. In fact, this is a 4x4, nothing lifted. I have thought about lifting it, but in central London I don't need it lifted. But this is a Mitsubishi Outlander. But yeah, 4x4 is the way. Is the way, you know. Yeah, I'm looking for a second. Looking for a second car right now, and again, it's going to be a 4x4. So I don't know what it's going to be, but I can tell you, I am looking at the Chinese market. I'm not joking. I'm looking at some of the Chinese cars. They're freaking brilliant. They look beautiful, and they're cheap. Do you know what I mean? And they're cheap, so that's what I'm looking at, honestly. But yeah, it's just, you look at everything, it's like, what the hell is going on? Because I was thinking about buying a Tesla. Right, so I thought, like, you know what, I was going to replace this for a Tesla, but actually this one now I've got the boot, like all the seats and everything folded, so I use this to haul goods and this and that, whatever I need, right? And I'm thinking, okay, I need a second car. And I looked at everything, I'm like, well, hold on, what's going on? Like Teslas, you can buy a Tesla in UK for like £8,000-9,000. They're cheaper than a 10-year-old car. It's like, what the hell is going on here, right? So clearly there's issues, whatever the issues is, and I'll tell you what the issue is. Infrastructure. We don't have the infrastructure, right? Maybe people around the suburbs and the other areas, they have garages or parking and whatnot, driveways and whatnot. They can have their own chargers. Even then, they're not having high-speed chargers. We don't have high-speed chargers. So how do people get on? I mean, for me, I drive a hybrid, so I'm okay, right? You know, I just go to a petrol station, fill up, and I'm good. Right now, my engine's on because I need the AC on because it's raining outside. Well, it was raining outside, but it's kind of muggy and warm, right? So I've got the air conditioning on, right? But you can't even do that in an electric car because it would just blitz through the electric, right? Okay, fine, that's not an issue. I don't have a problem. Would you charge them? Central London is just tower blocks and apartments, buildings, and this and that. You don't have chargers. That's the problem. Hence why electric cars, the price just drops off the cliff. Do you know what I mean? So it is what it is. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm not, in fact, I'm not going to talk about anything else anymore. But guys, I do appreciate all of you guys coming here. If you have any questions, let me know. Of course, if I can answer it, I will answer it. If I can't, I'll just say no, I can't answer it. But I hope hasta la pasta, yes my brother, hasta la vista, adios my amigos. So yeah, I mean, I hope you guys understood what I'm talking about. I know a lot of the times I don't explain myself and I don't come online at that much because, guys, I'm not here for YouTube. I told you guys so many times, I don't do this to become an influencer. I don't do this to earn anything from YouTube or anything like this. I don't rely on none of that business. If I did, believe me, I would. And I have thoughts about it. I'll be honest with you guys. I have thought about it. Probably opening a talk show or something, right? A podcast or something, right? Something more serious, not crypto, right? Because I don't think crypto podcast or something works, right? And for me, it won't work because I talk about things that would happen in the future, so probabilistic stuff. And when I'm talking about those, sometimes if the maths align, then that's my definite answer, and I can't change that. So it would take 3 months. I won't have anything to talk about. But there are plenty of stuff around the globe happening right now where I can probably talk about, and I would love to talk about. So I think there may be an opportunity where I might actually even think about, if I get the time, and I probably will soon, to sit down in a studio somewhere, you know, and maybe do a weekly stream or something of something could be anything, like we'll talk about geopolitics and whatnot, because it's something we need to talk about, and we need to start thinking about it all the time because it is impacting us. What happens somewhere up in China affects us here. What happens somewhere up in the other side of Siberia affects us here. That's crazy. It's insanity. Why should it affect us? But it is affecting us, and it's affecting us because our governments are corrupt. That's why it affects us. So I'm going to leave you on that note. Think about it, right? But other than that, guys, please do care to, if you are here for the first time, hit the subscribe, like, share. If you find the content interesting, let me know in the comments if you want to see more content like this, where we talk about geopolitics and some other stuff as well. But yeah, other than that, I want to catch you guys in another one very soon. Adios, my amigos.